the previous video we showed you how to work with the locomotive list. You can see that the BR103 has a red dot on the right, which means it's on the right sidebar. There it is. The BR81 is not showing a red dot, and we can simply pull it to the left sidebar and the icon gets the red dot. If you push the stop button, you can see that the speed bars turn to red. And you can turn the stop back off and it goes back to green. In this video we're going to show you the locomotive assistant, so we'll close the sidebars and the locomotive list and we go back to the system icon so that we can open up the locomotive list assistant right there. And what we will do now is just step through the items on the locomotive list assistant. To get started, we open up the locomotive list. You can normally tab it or pull it up. And to add a locomotive, you can see the assistant switches back to German. I hope they fix this soon. You can hit on the wrench, or you can hit the plus sign to add a locomotive. We're going to just hit the plus sign. And it opens up a new screen to add your new locomotive. A lot of information has been filled out for you, but most likely you want to change just about everything on the screen. So we'll start with the name of the locomotive. In this case I'm going to add a Netherlands 1200 electric locomotive, and I'll call it the NS1203 because that's the item number on the locomotive. And once I've entered that, I can hit the check mark on the keyboard, and looky there, the central station is smart and found it in its database and already assigned it a picture. If it's not the right picture, you can scroll through the database with pictures and find the one that should be applied to it. In a more advanced stage, you can also add your own pictures to the central station, but for now we'll use the 1203. It gives you some more information even on the 1203. And now we can edit the address. You can do it with the plus or minus signs, or you can hit on the number and that opens up a little window with a keyboard and it becomes easier to just type in the address. Number 12 is what we'll use for this example. The next thing you can do is you can change the decoder type. Your choices are MM, Marklin Motorola, or DCC. And that completes the 4 steps on this locomotive list assistant. We go to the next page, and here you can set the top speed of the locomotive. We'll set it at 115 here. And you can check and see if the locomotive responds. Of course, this only works when the locomotive is on the track. Now you can cancel all the changes, which would delete that new entry, or you can click on the OK button if you're happy with your settings. Now we'll show you how you can sort your locomotives. You can see the NS1203 has been added to our icons. And here you can change the sorting procedure by name, type, history of when it was used, or the maximum speed of the locomotive. This is especially beneficial when you have a lot of locomotives in your list. You can also filter the locomotives. You can simply have them shown all, or just your electric locomotives, your steam locomotives, or your diesel locomotives. I'll raise the window a little bit, the locomotive list window, so that you can see here what your choices are. And for example, if I pick the electric locomotives, you can see that in my locomotive list right now, it is only showing the electric locomotives. There's a little red dot on your icon that shows you that you're not looking at all the locomotives right now. If I change it back to show all, you can see that the red dot in the icon disappears. You can also search for a locomotive. To do this, you hit the search icon, the magnifying glass, and you can look by address or by name. It opens up a new window with the keyboard. And for example, I can look for an address, and as you remember, we assigned the NS 1203 the address 12, and it finds it by the address. We can also search by name. If I type in BR, it immediately shows all the locomotives that have BR in the name. Hit the check mark and you're good to go. Now if you look at the search magnifying glass icon, you can see the red dot appear again. That means you have a search restriction and you're not showing all your available locomotives. So we clean out the search field and hit the check mark, and all the locomotives show back up and the red dot disappears from the search icon. Next, we'll switch the locomotive list to the full image mode. This is especially helpful if you have many locomotives that you're controlling at the same time. You simply drag the locomotive list all the way to the top of the screen, and now you can see multiple locomotives on the screen, and of course you can also control them. You see the speed bars, the direction, and you can hit the function on top. That opens up a function window, and now you can control all the functions of that particular locomotive. Hit the function button again, control the speed, and as you can see, that locomotive has the red dot on the right side, and that means you can also control the speed of that particular locomotive with the knob on the right side. The BR81 is on the left side, so I can also control the speed of the BR81 either by the red knob or by touching the screen. You can change direction by hitting the directional arrow on the screen, or for the two locomotives that are controlled with the control knobs, you can push the control knob. We'll now reduce the size of the locomotive list. If you hit the red bar, it'll actually close it. So I'll pull it back up and reduce the size. And now you see the edit button. We'll edit one of the locomotives. Once you go in edit mode, you see the dashed bars around the icons. You also see the little X's on the icons, which allows you to delete the locomotive. Both these things show you that you're in the edit mode. When you get to the edit mode, you get that familiar screen, the same screen that we had when we entered the locomotive. You can check all the functions and make sure that they're assigned correctly. You can change the locomotive name. I'm just putting a space between the NS and 1203. You can change the picture, the icon. And you can change the address. You cannot change the decoder type. If you want to change that, you'll have to delete the locomotive and re-enter it. And then finally you can set the top speed. If you're happy with your changes, you can hit OK. If you want to delete the locomotive altogether, you hit the trash can with delete. Or if you want to cancel your changes, you hit the X with cancel. We're going to hit OK. You're still in edit mode. You see the dashed lines around the icons with the X's, and you see the green check mark in the edit mode icon. And so we're getting out of it by touching the edit icon. You can see the dashed lines are gone, the X's in the icons are gone, and the green check mark in the edit button is gone. A nice feature of the locomotive list is that you can drag it up to a certain height, and then if you tap the bar, it'll close itself. And if you tap it to reopen, it goes back to the same height that you had it open before. So we can, oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. We can set it to this height, tap it to close, and tap it to reopen at the same height. We're now done with the Locomotive List Assistant, and so we can go ahead and close it. In this video we showed you how to use the Locomotive List Assistant in how to add and edit a locomotive in the new Central Station 3. Visit us online at ajckids.com. If you like this video, let us know by giving us a thumbs up.